Hey everyone, IrixGuy here, and I apologize for the delay. I had some things in the studio, but everyone should be able to hear me and see me right now. This should be in 1080p, and hopefully the audio quality is acceptable. I've been trying to tweak some audio levels and some other settings within the studio. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This show obviously is an open playground for whatever. Obviously keep profanity and inappropriate content out of here, but with that being said, we can journey into a lot of things. First of all, the thing on my agenda is to talk about the thing that's inside of this case right here. This is what I'm keeping, and this is my GoPro Hero 5 session. You may have seen some of the videos that I filmed with it. It's I found it to be a very good camera, 4K 30. Obviously, unfortunately there's not a 4K 60 frames per second option with this, and there's not with the Hero 5 Black either. It's interesting that GoPro, well, given that Phantom 4 Pro has brought 4K 60 frames per second to the table, it's interesting that GoPro didn't at least include that with their higher end Hero 5 Black level camera. So, for that reason. And you can check out the side-by-side comparison. I don't see a big difference in image quality between the Hero 5 Session and the Hero 5 Black. But I've returned the GoPro Karma. Got my recall kit. Got that out of here. Unfortunately, part of that kit was the GoPro Karma grip. And I felt that was a good... I felt that was a good GoPro accessory. But unfortunately, it being part of the bundle, it's gone. Anything new in the drone world? Anything that you found that's pretty cool? Here's Sean Coonery. Hey, Sean Coonery. Oh, whoa. Ugh. He said he'll come up here and get on the camera. Yep. Yeah, so, huge disappointment with the GoPro drone, and all, since I've shipped it back, that's gone now, but just such a letdown. Did anybody here order the Hero, not the Hero, but the Phantom 4 Professional? Hey, Sean Coonery, you're in front of the... Yeah, he's going to have to move a little bit here. He's kind of taking over the studio. Big Maine Coon. Yep. You're going to have to move over there. Actually, I think I'll put him on the table here. He's a little bit... You're kind of in the way. Yep. Yep. You sit over here. Here's your laptop. There you go. There you go. You can control from that computer. Okay, so Sean Coonery has his own laptop now, so he's good to go. So what does everyone want to talk about today? What's buzzing on the internets? Yep, you got it tight from over there. Well, that didn't last long. Now he's coming over here. Yep, same here. Waiting for Mavic. It's kind of weird timing on DJI's behalf. They released the Mavic, which a lot of us are still waiting on. Looks awesome. 4K 30 frames per second, smaller form factor, better range, you name it. I mean, Mavic seems to be king. But then they reinvigorate their Phantom 4 line with the Phantom 4 Pro that brings 4K 60 frames per second to the table, and that's something that was completely unexpected. What I would have liked to have seen in the Phantom platform, and maybe that's coming in 2017, would be a modular camera option for the Phantom. Maybe they kind of, if they take the Phantom more in a what I would say pro level route, and then they keep the Mavic is kind of the new Phantom, the ultra portable, maybe the Mavic doesn't get a modular camera, but maybe the future DJI Phantom models do. But they made it tough because, you know, when I thought drones were getting smaller and that was going to be the trend, you know, I got the Mavic and I'm like, you know, this is going to replace my Phantom 4. Well, now they come out with the Phantom 4 Pro that does 4K 60. But to be frank, and I don't know what y'all's stance is on the Phantom 4 Pro, but that 60 frames per second would be great for retiming a video, and that 1-inch sensor should really make that video look better. So it's so tempting to get it, but then, you know, you're going back to the larger size and you know, more weight when you're traveling around. Not that the Phantom was unmanageable, but it's like, you know, once you get the Mavic, and I'm still waiting to get my Mavic, but once you do, it would be hard to step up to something big again. What's likely to compete with DJI in 2017? Honestly, I don't think there's anything on the table right now because, you know, GoPro was inevitably the biggest potential competitor for DJI. Now, you know, given GoPro's recent activities, the session they released, it really sent them in a downward spiral. And then you had, you know, after the session, then you had the Karma, but it was kind of delayed, and then it came out and it was recalled. So that's going to be tough for them to recover from. I think the only hope for GoPro, and actually the only hope for any DJI competition right now, is that if GoPro recovers from this and they just ditch Karma version 1, they keep the other accessories because they're cool, the Karma grip, they ditch the Karma drone, create a new Karma drone that's beefed up with features, maybe even greater features than what we're going to see on next year's DJI Phantom and DJI Mavic line, then maybe they have a shot to start to compete. But I mean, they'll really be playing catch up. I mean, I think ultimately we're going to have to see a new competitor emerge, and it's likely going to have to be a competitor that's backed by a big player like an Apple or a Google or a possibly a Microsoft or something like that. What program do you use for editing? Your drone videos look super HD. I have Phantom 3 Advanced. When I upload them to YouTube, it looks standard, not HD. How do you do it so clear? Let me get you a link to my 4K video workflow. Be just a second here and I'll share it. I appreciate that. A lot of it has to do too when you upload it. You got to upload it in a way that's optimized for YouTube, because certain file formats you use, number one, they're likely too large in file size, and the upload takes an enormous amount of time, or they're not compressed in a format that's optimized rather for YouTube. But this is what I use. Let me get that link here. In just a second. I'm getting that link. Yeah, so I'm going to have that link here in a second. God, we got a lot of people. This is great. Okay, almost got it. Sorry, I've got quite a few websites. I've got content sitting everywhere, so. Okay, here we go. Okay, so for, and you'll find the equipment here, but also you'll find a 4K video tutorial. And it's here on my snagbear.com site. Here's the link. And that explains my workflow. Now that's my 4K workflow that I have used from Phantom 3 Pro, Phantom 4, I'll use for the Mavic, I use for my Sony Alpha, I use from other 4K cameras that I've had in the past. And it seems to work really well. I went to apple.ca and checked on the Mavic. I saw one available at my local Apple store. Went to grab my credit card and place an order of local pickup. It is gone within 3 minutes. Wow. Yeah, it's a hot item. Your AOC monitor video helped me decide to get 3 of them. Yeah, that's a really cool monitor. Really cool deal. Appreciate that. And Chris says, yes, I pre-ordered Phantom 4. I think it's better than Inspire 2. I had the Mavic Fly More package. It is amazing. Yeah, I agree. The Phantom 4 definitely a better option than Inspire 2. Inspire 2 is just so big and it's so heavy. And, with that 1-inch sensor on that Phantom 4 Pro camera, it looks like it would be really, really cool. That's a good thought Adam brought in. What about a Sony drone? Well, obviously, my love of Sony cameras, I've been around the block with cameras, and I found the Sony cameras, for me at least, to be the solution I'm most comfortable working with. And a Sony camera mated with a Sony drone, that could be a really killer combination. I could see that would be really cool. That's a great thought. Jason says, I love the Phantom 4 controller with built-in display, and I'm really hoping there will be an add-on for the regular Phantom 4. It's historically that's been the thing with DJI. They've never really nurtured their previous generation products. And if I'm surprised the Phantom 4 Pro still uses the same form factor battery. Sure, they've released a higher capacity battery with the Phantom 4 Pro, but I'm surprised they didn't change that because, like we've seen with, Phantom 2 to Phantom 3, completely different battery. Phantom 3 to Phantom 4, completely different battery. So my assumption is after Phantom 4, we're likely going to see yet another battery design, just so we have to buy more stuff. If you don't have obstacle avoidance, you go the way of the Solo. Yeah, for $100, that monitor's totally work. Cool, man. Ordered my Mavic on 10.2 with an extra battery. Received it today. Wow. Dude, you got lucky. I'm still waiting on mine. Yeah, 20 megapixel on the Phantom 4 Pro camera. That's absolutely incredible. I'm excited to see the not just the video quality, but also the still photos on that, because 20 megapixel, I mean, I'm hoping that the performance of that could possibly meet or exceed the performance of something like the Sony RX100 series, which that's a really cool camera for point and shoot. And maybe they've managed to pack the same technology in there. Greetings from Ireland. Just a question. Are Phantom 4 owners upset with DJI for bringing out the Phantom 4 Pro now and not having that option at launch of Phantom 4? Actually, I kind of am. I think that, had they released Phantom 4, well, there's two ways to look at it. Had they released Phantom 4 Pro before they released Mavic, it could have put a dent in their Mavic sales, because Mavic, at least the current model Mavic, doesn't do 4K 60. So they kind of played a marketing move, and they had, okay, Phantom 4 with 4K 30. Now we're basically going to release a smaller, more lightweight drone that's camera is pretty much the same as the Phantom 4. So they released that. People want to go smaller, more lightweight. And then they come out of the woodwork. They're like, well, now we're going to create a new structure for our business. We've got our really small and lightweight drone that's going to replace the Phantom series, which is Mavic. And now we're going to up the capabilities of the Phantom platform that we previously reserved for the too big and too heavy Inspire. What I think they should do, if they were smart, they would totally ditch an Inspire with any sort of entry-level type camera. They would make an Inspire strictly a system for lifting, like a mirrorless camera, something high-end, like a $5,000-$6,000 camera under it. And then they'll stick with DJI Phantom platform. They'll add a modular camera option to it, so we can get really high-end cameras, but not have to deal with the excess travel size and travel weight. And then I think Mavic's probably... my assumption is that we will likely see a new Mavic, and it'll likely have 4K 60, or maybe it'll even have a modular camera option and a 360-degree camera. Speaking of that, what does everyone think about 360-degree cameras? It seems like they never really caught on, even though the technology's cool. It's like you just don't see that many videos anymore. This is live. You may have a connection problem on your end. I don't have any uploads going. That's an interesting point. The OcuSync versus dual band system for Phantom 4 Pro. It's going to be interesting to see how that compares to our Light Bridge. What do you think of DJI Matrice and Ronin MX? Actually, the Matrice, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird. I personally don't have any interest in it. But the Ronin, I'd love to have a Ronin for my A7R2. It's just such an expensive piece of equipment, and again, the problem with that, and maybe I could better justify a Ronin if my aerial platform was the size of a Mavic, so I'm able to pack that in, and instead of carrying something the size of a DJI Phantom, in place of that, I'm carrying a Ronin. So I may be able to justify it now that the drone's gotten smaller, but to carry two huge waterproof and ruggedized cases, one for a drone and one for a Ronin, it's just too much stuff to carry around. But it could be cool to mix it in with the Mavic. And I'm just speaking from what I do, because when I'm out and about, I want to make sure that I've got I've got all the gear I need, but I want to be as lightweight and small size as possible. Chris says, yeah, I don't understand that my Mavic have OcuSync 4.3, but the Phantom uses it, and it's the same as it's a software solution. One company in Norway working with a sub drone. That'd be really cool, a drone that goes underwater. Have you ever tried a VR headset while flying? I've used the, what's it called, the Zeiss Cinemizers, and that was a pretty cool experience. But to be frank, I mean, now with all the heightened regulations worldwide, it's best to, in my opinion, to fly without having something on your head. So it's more of a maintain visual line of sight at all times. So it's, unless they come up with a solution that enables you to concurrently do that, I don't know. I've kind of lost interest in it. Why would you have a Mavic over a Phantom 4 Pro? Well, it's actually quite easy, because the Mavic, it's smaller travel size, it's smaller travel weight. I still get 4K 30 frames per second. I don't get 4K 60 like the Phantom 4 Pro brings. But if I'm just shooting video, the Mavic, I'm still getting that extra long range. I'm getting 4K 30, which, unless I'm retiming the video, speeding it up or slowing it down or slowing it down in post, that extra frames per second is not going to benefit me to a big degree. Now, the 1-inch sensor on the Phantom 4 camera, yeah, that's going to make things look even better. So from my personal stance is that I'm going to use the Mavic. It's going to be my primary drone. But if I need something more high end from a video and from a video quality perspective, then yeah, I would probably pick up a Phantom 4 Pro at that point. But the thing is, the way things are evolving, it's almost like the Phantom 5 is probably going to be right around the corner. So when I get a Phantom 4 Pro, I look at it kind of as an interim solution. It's kind of like if you look at iPhones, you got an iPhone, then you got the iPhone whatever S, and then you go up to the next big kahuna the next year. And I think I think that may be the case with Phantom. I'm expecting to see a Phantom 5 I'm expecting to see the Phantom platform completely change from what we've seen now. I mean, the body of it's subtly changed, but I'm expecting a fold-up Phantom. Now, when they come out with that, even if it is a little bit bigger than the Mavic, if I can get a lot better camera, I think that'd be amazing. Do you think the Mavic camera is capable to do 60 frames per second? It may be just a software lock, much like the Phantom 3 Advanced got 2.7K. That's actually a very interesting point. From a physical size perspective, it would be interesting to see, and keep in mind, even if one camera looks larger than the other, the internals may be the same or somewhat the same. So, yeah, that would be really cool. And you know what? Like you said, DJI did it with the Phantom 3 Advanced. When it first came out, it was 1080p, and then they upped it to 2.7K. So that would be awesome if they had that bag of tricks to upgrade the Mavic. And it would make sense, because they've probably sold a lot of Phantom 4 Pros for people that bought the Mavic, and they're like, man, now they've got a 60 frames per second. I missed out on that, and they bought it anyway. So that's very interesting. I will use the Mavic so much just because you can have it with you everywhere you go. That's me too. I mean, with even with the Phantom, even though the Phantom is a manageable travel size and manageable travel weight, it's still big, and it's like, if you're doing certain activities, you may not want to take it because it's like, well, I would, but then I got this other case with me. With the Mavic, it's just, it fits in a small bag or backpack. It's amazing. So I'm with you on that. I love that. RC Tanks and Truck says, I think I may wait for the Phantom 5. Hopefully they will have all the Phantom 4 Pro with a different body, maybe collapsible. Amen. That's what I'm thinking. They're going to have to change the form factor of the Phantom. I mean, it's a proven design, but to compete with their smaller Mavic, they're going to have to change that form factor of the Phantom. Do you know if touch focus on the Mavic works just by touching it once and it stays focused the entire flight, or do you continually have to focus? Actually, I don't know. I haven't, at the time of posting this, I haven't received my Mavic. So, it's to be tested. Richard says, yes, it does focus and fix. You just have to focus to infinity when you're up in the air. Very cool. Podman says, will you order the Phantom 4 Pro and do a Phantom 4 Pro versus Mavic? As much as I want to, I kind of got, my intent was the GoPro Karma. I was going to do a GoPro Karma and Mavic comparison in the field. Well, obviously the Karma's been recalled. I just got my thing, shipped mine back, so I no longer have the Karma. That's going to be, that's something I missed out on. Will I pick up a Phantom 4 Pro? I'm almost afraid to, because even though I love the 4K 60 and I love the 1-inch sensor, again, I almost feel like it's an interim solution. I almost feel like a Phantom 5 is probably right around the corner. So I don't know if I'm going to get the Phantom 4 Pro. I've got the Mavic ordered, and I'm going to love the Mavic, and you're going to have a ton of videos from that, but I'm not sure about the Phantom 4 Pro for me. Another point, it says, and vacation will be a lot easier with the Mavic. It can go on my carry-on if airlines allow. That's very true. And it's funny, a lot of airlines, and obviously regulations change, check with your airport, but a lot of airlines require you to put at least your batteries in your carry-on. So a lot of airlines, you can't check them below the plane anymore. But yeah, the Phantom 4 Pro, it just looks incredible. If only those features. Can you imagine if the Mavic today had 4K 60? Just how amazing that would be to get that capability in such a small package. That would be incredible. That's funny. I was looking at the Inspire 2. God, they're charging a premium for that. I don't know. I just don't get that platform. I guess if you have if you want to use a really high-end camera, that would make sense. But other than that, why don't they put retractable landing gear on the Phantom? You think that's coming next? It would seem to make sense. That would be another innovation that people would see and they would want, probably. Where are most of your subscribers based? I know a lot of people are fans in the UK. Yeah, actually, I've looked at. That's a great question, and thanks for tuning in from the UK. I've got a lot of people in Europe, a lot of people in the United States, a lot of people in the Caribbean, a lot in Canada, and then I've got a quite considerable amount also from Asian countries, which is really interesting, considering most of those countries are not English speaking. So it's interesting to look at Google Analytics, or YouTube Analytics rather, and see where people are coming from. It's really cool. Richard says Inspire is really for film crews. Yeah, that's a good point. And those agencies, for them to spend, $3,000 or $4,000 for a drone and then a few thousand more for camera, that's nothing. Adam says, got to do Phantom 4 Pro or there will be a big gap for subscribers. You know what? That's a good point. It'd be worth it from that perspective just to get it. Yeah, $6,000 is astronomical for a drone. I mean, for an individual, that's just crazy. And then you got to think, well, what if it crashes? You know, it's one thing to lose a drone around $1,000 mark, but you know, when you're 6 times that's it's kind of bad. And then, you know, if you're an individual and you own it, you're probably going to be hesitant to fly in certain, I mean, obviously safe places, but you may not want to fly out over the water because you're afraid you may lose it. Yeah, Richard, that would be really cool if they just send me one to review, but no, I don't think yeah. I don't know if they do. I mean, I guess my channel's a decent size. I'm at, let's see, about 47,000 subscribers. It's almost like I don't know how they decide who they send those to, but you know, on their launch of the Mavic, they had what's her name, Jenna Marbles or something. She was there with the Mavic or whatever. But if they did do that, I would want a production version. I wouldn't want a pre-release because I don't feel that's a fair way to accurately gauge the performance of a product. You know, I want the retail one and see. There's a guy in Germany who has less subscribers than you, but he seems to get all the DJI stuff. He probably has a Phantom 4 Pro. That'd be really cool, but you know, like I said, I just wouldn't be interested in the pre-release stuff. It would have to be the production version because I don't know. But yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, DJI, if you're watching, yeah, shoot me a line. You got my contact information. The best way to get me is go to my Facebook fan page, facebook.com/IrixGuy, and send me a message there. So, I mean, definitely, if that's something anybody's looking for, I would be interested in considering that. Yeah, so just tons of good stuff coming. I don't know why these Mavics are so... I mean, I know they're very popular, but it's just really slow to ship right now. Adam, I appreciate that. It says, we rely on you to make an informed, unbiased opinion before putting our hard-earned in someone else's pocket. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, with these drones, you know, as we've seen, I mean, it's the consensus. It doesn't matter which brand it is. Inevitably, it's probably going to be a DJI because they're the top dog right now. But it's like you buy it, and it's, you know, it's a rapidly depreciating asset, and if something goes wrong, your possibility of getting quality support is somewhat impossible. So it's really a gamble. And yeah, and again, that's the reason I would not be interested in reviewing pre-release products. It's just not fair for viewers. It's not fair for myself, and it's not fun because I don't know. That's just my opinion. Others may feel differently, but I will hopefully have a Mavic to test this weekend. That's awesome. That will be awesome. Richard says, maybe that's why they don't send IRIX their drones. They no doubt encourage others for early positive reviews if they send them stuff. That's cool. Adam says, is DJI product care and customer service going to fail with all the new range from DJI at once? You know, I don't know. Yeah, that's funny. Well, that guy's, I mean, he's enormous. His channel is enormous. No telling how much money he's making from that channel. I know that's all confidential, but and I'm sure he's doing doing quite well. So yeah, not much. Hey, Sean Coonery. Yep, Sean Connery's back. Yep, back in the studio. Back in the studio. He is back in the studio. What happened to your Mavic, Richard? Was it defective, or what happened to it? Edmund says, do you think GoPro can come back from their total recall? Well, and keep in mind, I love GoPro. Been with GoPro. I've been a fan and user of GoPro since GoPro Hero 2. I didn't get in on Hero 1, but I did with Hero 2, and I've loved all their products. Can they recover? Session, not the Hero 5 Session, but the original Session model, that set them back. They put technology in there that was inferior to, at the time, it was GoPro Hero 4 Black, which would do 4K, and the Session didn't. So it really rubbed people the wrong way. It was a newer camera, it was overpriced. GoPro ended up cutting the price of the Session, but you could see, GoPro being a publicly traded company at that point, their stock really reacted in a negative way. So then you get people excited about the, about the Karma, and then it takes forever to put the Karma out. Well, the Karma comes out, and, despite it feeling very well made and the controller interface being nice, and it seemed like they put a lot of time into it. It just, it had fisheye. It did not have obstacle avoidance. The range is not anywhere close to what a Phantom has or a Mavic. And it just, ultimately, the recall, like you said, will GoPro be able to recover from the recall? I don't know. I think their only hope is to hope for solid camera sales this holiday season. I think they really need to push their GoPro Hero 5s. They need to push their Karma grip, and I think if I was them, I would take the focus off of the Karma. Maybe not even re-release it after the recall. Just develop another one. Take what's good about it, create a Karma 2, and put it out early next year before DJI puts out their next stuff. Richard says the lens had dust on the inside. I think that was causing it not to focus right. Would center focus fine and to the right, but left side of the frame was blurry. That's not good at all. Jacob says, I'd expect to see the Phantom 5 to be revealed mid-2017, seeing how DJI puts out new products every quarter. Yeah, that would definitely make sense. They had to parrot the Parrot Disco. Let's see, that was the airplane-looking thing, wasn't it? Yeah, that's what I'll do. Check focus in a brick wall test. That's a good tip. I definitely do that because I'm not going to get stuck with a dud camera. That's a horrible way to. Well, on the bright side, at least it wasn't a completely recalled product. That would have been worse. Eric says the Karma is designed to compete with the Phantom 2 Vision Plus. Well, it's funny. Put yourself in GoPro shoes. They're going to revolutionize the drone game. They're going to get something smaller and more lightweight, folds up, uses a GoPro camera that, even if you're not familiar with drones or you had no interest in drones, you're going to want to get this new GoPro mount. So they had it all put together, and then DJI comes out of nowhere and they release the Mavic, and then after that DJI comes out with 4K 60 frames per second on a Phantom 4 Pro. So it's kind of like, they're seriously, they're going to have to do a lot of digging out of the dirt. I hate to say it because I like GoPro and I like DJI, but GoPro's really going to have to do some digging to get out of this. Do you think GoPro will redesign the Karma? I hope they do. I hope they just scratch Karma 1, borrow what's good from it, but come out with a new camera that does 4K 60, does not have fisheye. Longer range, obviously fly line of sight to be safe and responsible, but put that range in there just so it's on par with the competitors. and obstacle avoidance to make it be perceived as more safe. Nasty Thug says, did they give you a hard time when you returned Typhoon H? Not at all. No, I had a defective camera, and also the micro SD card slot on the controller was defective. It was a dud. At least my unit was a dud, so I didn't. That was not an impressive experience. Adam says it would have been good for Karma to have been launched at Phantom 1 stage. You know what? If that had been the case, GoPro would be the leader in the drone industry today, no doubt, because they've got a lot of money. They're probably losing a lot of money right now, but yeah, it would have been. The Karma did fly very nicely. Brad says, do you have any input on if Parrot will ever compete seriously in the drone game? I think Parrot is, and another signal that this is likely the case. I mean, when you look at the Bebop, it'll do stuff like you can do flips and stuff in midair. I think they've gone more with the toy drone that happens to have a camera on it. But the problem is you can't create the video quality from a software stabilized camera that you can with a gimbal. And at least their current design of the Bebop and the Bebop 2, which is basically just a glorified Bebop 1, you can't compete with a gimbal stabilized camera system. They're really going to have to develop a new platform, and I have a feeling now that the cost of that I think it may be in their best interest to create toy grade drones and sell a larger volume of those toy grade drones than to try to get into the aerial video and photo game. Eric says, even Unique is having a hard time catching up with DJI. Their drones keep falling in price. Yeah, I think, it's one of those things. The Typhoon H, it did look good on paper, but I think the fact that it inevitably failed is, I don't know. I don't know how much longer they'll be in the drone game. Because they seem to put a lot of thought into that and a lot of marketing into that, and it just didn't make it. So, yeah, it's disappointing to see people fail. And speaking of other failures, 3DR Solo. They had a cool commercial. Remember the commercial with the monkeys with the controller, and it never had a chance. And what's funny, those two brands were, they were going the photo and video route. They weren't the toy drone like a Parrot. Richard says, sorry, that was a Mavic I was talking about, although I only had it for 3 days before having sent it back. The drone is super responsive, and it held steady like a rock in 15-mile-per-hour winds. That's good to hear. Yeah, that is good to hear, because, and I was saying the Karma handled, very well too, but apparently it fell out of the sky for a few people as well. So, but yeah, that's good to know, because 15-mile-per-hour wind, that's pretty significant. That is significant. Brad, it's just, what does the name Irix come from? It's just gibberish, Created a YouTube account, wanted to create something that sounded kind of stupid that nobody else would have, and sure enough, it's evolved. This channel really got, I didn't do serious YouTube. I did it in the beginning just as a way to share videos. And I didn't really have a purpose behind it, but then I got picked up. The first video of mine that got picked up was, I think it was a Carnival Elation cruise ship video. And then the other big one was how to drink cheap on a cruise ship. And from that point forward, I was like, you know what, this is a cool hobby, something to do on the side. And I got rid of, not that I played a lot of games, but I did play some video games at the time. I played Battlefield and, let's see, what was it? Well, that's basically all I played was Battlefield. I decided, playing a video game is a waste of time. So I'm going to find a new hobby, and that's how I got into YouTube, and the name just stuck. It was some gibberish I put in the screen name, but it stuck because at that point I was increasing in subscribers and video views, so I couldn't change and start over, so I just kept it. I wish I had a better story than that. Let's see. The product / company this is from Todd. The product / company that will compete most against DJI hasn't been invented yet. It happens in all industries when the leader eventually gets lazy and a newcomer jumps in. Capitalism works. Very well said, and I agree completely. I mean, that's a very, very interesting point, and I bet that's what we're going to see. Eric says, Colin Gwynn ruined 3DR Solo. He is trying so hard to mock DJI, and his attitude is just pure ignorant. Well, that's interesting. Adam says, what are drones of today missing? What would you like to see? Directional mic. What I want to see in drones today, and I have not seen it yet, is a 360-degree spherical camera. But not just a basic spherical camera, because it's like that's a new technology too. Also, I want to see a spherical camera that in spherical mode can actually produce true spherical 4K video. You can check out a lot of my videos, and I'm going to be uploading some more on my Facebook page, facebook.com/IrixGuy, and also on YouTube. I'm posting a few 360 videos. One of the most recent ones is Sandy Island in 360 degree. I went out to this island, and I got my little cheap, and it works, but you can see the video quality is not up to snuff. If they can create a 360 spherical camera that's true 4K quality and mounted on a drone, and maybe it's not the camera that you use all the time, but it's a modular camera option for that drone. I think that's something that's really missing in the industry now, and I don't see why someone has not taken the time to create one. And something else I think would be great if we saw a big manufacturer like a DJI or someone open up the mount on their drone, create a drone with a modular camera mount, and open up the mount for third-party accessories. Can you imagine, as a camera manufacturer, if you had the ability to create, if you could obtain a license or whatever it's called to create a camera that will be compatible with whatever brand of drone? That would be really cool. At that point, your drone becomes a tripod of sorts, because you can put whatever brand of camera on the top, because you allow it. You've got a universal mount, and I think that's something that's definitely missing. Eric says, what is your main full-time job? By the way, well, I do a lot of stuff, and I don't, on this channel, I don't really like to talk about shop that much, because this is my escape from reality. But I do a lot of stuff. I do things that are social media centric. I do a lot of consulting work. I run several businesses, and just things that I can do to fuel this hobby. To enable me to go out and capture content for the YouTube channel, and concurrently have a good time. This is like, YouTube is a portion of my downtime, so it's a way to, instead of watching TV or instead of playing a video game and enjoying a little bit of downtime, it's a way to enjoy downtime but concurrently be productive and incubate new ideas. The drones are the most exciting component that I've discovered and introduced into my channel, because obviously in the beginning they were not there. It was a travel component, but there weren't drones. Jacob says, I flew my Mavic yesterday for the first time. It was great. The focus is weird to get used to. A lot more stable than my Phantom 3 Pro. That's awesome. Phantom 3 Pro is rock solid. Brad says, I'm trying to start my channel now with drone videos and travel. That's a good formula in my opinion. Let's see. Eric says, why no one put an LED headlight on the drone so we can fly at night? I guess it's a safety issue after all. Well, actually, if you read, and this varies among countries, but I think in the United States, and again, it can change, but I know there's a lot of countries, and I think the United States may be one of them, that disallows flying at night. They may allow it, certain countries may allow it for a short period of time before sunset and a short period of time after sunrise. I think they call it civil twilight and civil sunset or whatever. I don't know the exact terminology, but that's probably why we're not seeing lights and all of that, because it would be, even with the lights in most countries, it would likely be an illegal act to perform that. So I think that's why we're probably not seeing it. Adam says parachutes. Actually, I think parachutes are a good gesture for safety. I think that's something that we definitely should see drone manufacturers adopt. I mean, for example, look at the GoPro Karma. Had the GoPro Karma had some sort of accelerometer on the side, should it start to drop to the Earth's surface faster than a certain rate of speed, it would automatically deploy a parachute using a CO2 cartridge or something along those lines. I think that would be really cool, just to, because inevitably the price coming down on drones, the popularity of drones continuing to increase, that kind of stuff is going to make it more and more tough for this hobby to continue to exist. We get a lot of irresponsible people out there, but if we put these tools in place, such as parachutes, that sort of thing, then we're likely to be able to better prolong the existence of this hobby. Now, Richard says it would ruin the camera shots if you have too many lights on it. If you fly at night, it's good to switch off the front lights for good shots. That's a really good point also. Which DJI drone did... just expensive. Okay, so they used it with their spreading wings. Yeah, so everyone that may not be familiar with spreading wings, that was one of DJI's original drones. Really big, carry a big camera. It was prior to its popularity was huge prior to the Phantom, and then also I think the Inspire is ultimately probably what replaced the spreading wings platform. And there may still be some people that use it, especially people that need, the ability to lift heavier payloads and or add custom components to that drone. So yeah, I mean, we've got, this is an interesting time that we're in right now with drones. I mean, we're starting to see things evolve, starting to see successes and failures. Even some of the big players like GoPro, I mean, we thought would have just come out blazing, and they've hit huge roadblocks. So Eric says, I'm waiting for full-frame sensor compact camera down the road. That would be awesome. If they had an A7R2, Sony A7R2 on a drone, that would be amazing. Richard, thanks for tuning in, man. Have a good evening over there in the United Kingdom. Yeah, and I think actually we're hitting about the we're at about 51 minutes. This show, again, this is just as I'm able to do it. It's not a scheduled event. I'm going to try to stagger the time of the show, and I'm going to try to get some weekend shows as well. So yeah, think about topics, and we can maybe I'll get up on a live show and just go through whatever. I mean, I like to keep it open, but obviously the focus has been primarily drones, which is great. So Eric says, got to go to a hockey game. Have a good night. Y'all have a good night too. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. youtube.com/IrixGuy. Before I go, Adam says, is the United States going to have more restrictions under your pending presidency as he's banned them over Trump Towers? I think in the United States, politically, everything is in an uproar. But my assumption, at least with the new leadership that's coming in, I think that there will be a huge push for commercial use of drones, and I think we're really probably going to see a lot of support politically for the commercial use of drones. But time will tell. We'll see what happens. Can't predict the future. But thanks everyone for tuning in, and be sure to follow me on other social media too. Go to IrixGuy.com, and you can find all my social media sites. And And I've also got, I don't know if you've subscribed or followed me on Instagram, but I got it on there. Got a lot of content. So, yeah, this is all for today. We are 53 minutes, and it's been a fun show. Thanks for tuning in.